Watch out, bud.
Hey, bro.
Come on, buddy, let him in. What's going on,
How
man?
you doing, man?
How's everything?
Good to see you,
man.
Yeah,
Welcome.
I've never done an interview like this before,
No?
so it's cool.
Yeah, man, it should be pretty chill. Just kind of get comfortable and we'll just dive right in.
Hash it out.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. What's good? It's your man, 100 Grand Villy Wright, and welcome to The Village. This is the It Takes a Village podcast where I interview your local community workers, getting a little background on them as a people, and just get an inside look on what a day in the life of work actually looks like. Yeah. So, my man, would you kindly introduce yourself to the people, stating your title and what your contribution to our community actually is?
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
My name is Jeremy. I'm a EMS worker, EMT for one of the ambulance companies here in Albany.
Awesome, man. Yeah, like I said, bro, I'm super excited for you to be here.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different roles that you can play in a community, but there are certain roles that are just like every community has, right? You got your teacher, your doctor, you know what I mean, things like that, and everybody has to have, an EMS worker, right? EMT, sorry. So yeah, I was super excited to have you in and just, get a little closer look on what that looks like and kind of what, regular day is for you, man.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, but before we really get into it, I ask the same question every time to start. How's your day going so far?
Day's going good. I'm not really a morning person, so the day's just starting.
Okay.
But yeah.
You got your coffee in your system and
Yeah, hopefully it'll kick in at some point,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember I ran into you just randomly, through work. And I bought it up, the podcast, man. What made you, you seem pretty just willing off the gate. A lot of people, especially with this type of thing, are a little hesitant, I'm nervous, but you were like all for it, man. You just ready to, talk about it, man. What made you so excited?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it was pretty interesting how we met too, for both of our works, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we can kind of talk about that if you want, but I just thought it was like a cool idea, and I think it was something I hadn't really heard before.
Yeah.
It was like I've heard of like community outreach and like trying to do stuff, but like just starting like conversations and discussions with people in the community. Trying to get like a better idea what their day looks like, what their job does. For some people who like maybe don't have unusual jobs, but I don't know. I didn't know what EMS was like before I got into it. And you had a mailman on the other day. Like I can guess what that's like, but I never really know for sure. So it's like
straight from the source, right?
It's good to like actually talk to these people and get the information out there so that people might have a little bit more perspective on what happens all around them.
Exactly, 100%, man. And like I said, I'm super appreciative for you to be here and just offer that perspective and POV. You never know what this can inspire or just the insight in general. It's just it's already just a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all right, we'll get right into it, man. Can you walk me through what a typical day of work usually is like for you? Just kind of from clocking in to clocking out, however that way that works.
Yeah. So for my schedule, I work usually weekdays. EMS is something that lights never turn off. There's always someone on 24/7. So you can work nights, weekends, whatever. But like start your shifts, you go in and you make sure you got a partner, because a typical ambulance crew is 2 people. A lot of times maybe we would have 3 if we're training someone, or depending on the makeup of the crew. Because there's EMTs and then there's paramedics, and there's different level of care. Paramedics can do a bit more in terms of like the actual medical care they provide. They can start IVs and do intravenous drugs if the patient needs it. EMTs have a smaller scope. We can't do any of that. We have a couple drugs that we can give by mouth.
Okay. So EMT is what? Emergency medical technician?
Yeah.
EMS is emergency medical services.
Yeah.
So EMS is what is actually being done, and EMTs is the actual like title.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. See, I didn't know that.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I should have clarified that.
No, you're good. That's what this is for, man. Just asking questions, dude.
Yeah. So, and then, paramedics just a higher level of care, but either way, it's either 2 EMTs or an EMT and a paramedic is like a typical crew.
Okay.
So you walk in, you find your partner, you get your rig, You make sure it has everything you need. There's certain checklists. We have to have a certain amount of all of our equipment per the Department of Health. And then we just wait for calls. Sometimes it's busy, sometimes it's not. My company that I work with is a private company, so it's a little bit different than, the state funded or town funded, whatever.
Yeah.
City of Albany, town of Colony, whatever. So we're a private company, and we have contracts that we carry out with the cities that we work in. Mainly that's going to be here in like the Albany surrounding area.
Yeah, okay.
But we also do 911s, and then we do transports and stuff. So transports go like between hospitals if someone needs to be transported to like a different hospital that has, a specialized care that they need. So we'll move people around like that in addition to bringing people to the hospital.
Oh, okay, so you'll do transports just from hospital to hospital. You'll
Pretty
be in
much,
communication with the hospital, say we need you to deliver them over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Nice.
that's kind of like very briefly kind of the main things we do. And we'll just wait for calls. Again, it's like sometimes it's busy, sometimes you can like clock in and they're already calling you like, hey, you got to go to this place and see what this call is about. Sometimes there's a decent bit of downtime. You can just chill at the station, do whatever in your free time, as long as you're like ready for a call. They don't really care. So you can, read, watch movies, whatever, do your own thing. And
Okay. How do you decide who drives? Because it's a rotation of 3 people, right? So who's like usually the one getting behind the wheel?
Yeah, so usually, again, like a standard crew is 2, but as far as my company goes, like certain people are cleared to drive. They want you to drive. So if they could, everyone would be driving. It's just like a matter of like who has a license good enough, without a lot of points that the insurance company will take on. Because if you're a bad driver, they're like, yeah, maybe you should drive, so.
Makes sense.
But yeah, ideally anyone could drive. And then if both you and your partner can drive, it's kind of up to you. You guys can switch on. One person has to drive. One person has to be the person in the back taking care of the patient.
Yeah.
So it's kind of up to you guys. Unless one of you guys can't drive, then that person is always going to be in the back.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
How long you been doing this?
I started at the beginning of the year with training. Started in January.
Okay. So still pretty fresh?
Yeah, pretty fresh. And then I think I was cleared and like fully independent in like April or May, around then.
Okay.
So I've been kind of like on my own, so to speak, since then.
Okay. So was that like 6 months?
Yeah, math. Yeah,
Something like that.
About that,
yeah. Cool, man. That's dope. Seriously, that's crazy. How old are you?
25.
25, man. That's dope, man. Doing something like this, and at the right age of 25, dude. I was working at factories at 25, dude. But now, all right. So, curious, man. What even got you going? Like, what made you, wake up one day and was like, yo, I'm about to do the ambulance thing.
Yeah. So, I guess I'll try and keep it like concise, but I've always kind of been interested
Take your time,
in
man.
like
We got enough time, bro.
a medical career of some sort. I've kind of been geared towards that for a bit now, and I've never really been sure of what I wanted to do, but I always kind of thought like that would be the most likely career path I find myself into, and whatever it looks like, something medical. And so I went to college, graduated with a bio degree, and then I came back home and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. So I worked a little bit as a scribe at a doctor's office, which is like the guy that writes doctor's notes for him.
Okay.
So a couple doctors hired me to follow them around all day and just write their notes. And that was good experience, but it wasn't really doing anything. Like I was kind of just like sitting on the side listening to conversations.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really doing anything myself, I felt like. So I was like, I'm ready for a change. I did that for about 2 years, and then I was like, do something else, maybe work at Albany Med as like an ER tech, which is like kind of similar. It's just someone who kind of like helps out. It's not a nurse, but it's like someone who helps out in the ER, and like on the floors they have them too.
Like ER tech.
ER tech. Yeah, it's kind of just like an assistant of sorts.
Yeah.
And then I was waiting for them. I applied for that, and I was waiting for them to get back to me, and they just didn't because there was a hiring freeze for some reason. Don't know why. Because everyone I talked to, they were like, "We're short staffed. We need people to work for us." So while waiting for that, I was like, "Let me apply to this ambulance job," because my buddy works at the company, and he kind of hyped it up for me. He was like, "Yo, you could be an EMT. It's kind of like, you get to be your own provider if we're." Show up to a call and we get to like kind of assess what's going on and try and figure it out. Not that we're a doctor or anything going to do any definitive treatments, but we kind of like, hey, this is, I think what's going on. This person's having difficulty breathing. I'm going to, take vitals and see if they're doing really poorly, doing really bad. You have a little bit of freedom to like figure out what's going on, be a little bit of a diagnostician.
Yeah, you got a little bit more of a hand in it, right?
So and you're doing it all yourself. Yeah. So he hyped it up to me a little bit, and he's also kind of like in a pre-health field. So I was like, maybe that would be a good experience. And so I applied, and then it fell through. It didn't fall through. People at the company were really responsive, and I was like, screw it, I'll train for this and be an EMT.
Okay.
So now,
just kind of fell into
now I'm here. Yeah, it wasn't always like the set thing that I had my mind on.
Okay. So we're gonna get into a little bit of that too.
Cool,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
About kind of like the origins, if you will, of Jeremy here. So where you from? Are you from
Latham?
Latham? Okay, yeah, that's right around the corner here.
Yep.
From Albany. Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Okay, nice. Tell me a little bit about that, man. A little about your upbringing. What kind of kid were you? What kind of things you were doing as a kid?
I was born and raised Latham. Kind of been around the area my whole life, except when I went to college. I went to college in Illinois. I was chasing athletics at that point. I did gymnastics growing up for pretty much my whole life.
Oh, wow.
So I did that, and they had a good team out there that I wanted to walk onto. So I went out there for that.
I know some good programs, gymnastic programs on here, huh?
Yeah. They're kind of like sparse. There's not really many in New York. There might not be any in New York, actually. At the Division I level, that's what I was chasing. And then, so I went out there because I thought I had the best chance out there. And I also wanted to kind of get out and see a little bit more than New York, a little bit more than Albany, at least. So I did that. Ended up studying bio. Again, that wasn't always the plan, but it kind of fell together that way. And then came back just because I was like, I can live at home and kind of save money instead of spending a whole lot on rent in Chicago, which is where a lot of my friends moved after school, or some big city, and pay a lot on rent when I didn't even know what I was doing for a job. So
makes sense.
I got a sister who is not medical. She's a singer, actually.
Oh, nice. Professionally?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she actually does opera, so it's like,
oh, wow,
it's like super niche. It's kind of it's funny. So
that's dope. An opera singer as a sister.
Yeah,
singing all the time, just around the house and stuff.
I haven't lived with her. She's been jumping around a little bit too, chasing her stuff. She did a couple things for school and stuff, but she we'll go visit her at wherever she is, like Houston. She just went to Boston. She's in Boston now, so we would jump around and see her performances and stuff. Yeah, it's really impressive.
She's older. Did you say older or younger?
She's 3 years older.
3 years older.
2.
Oh, okay. Oh, 2 years older.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's dope. Yeah, I have 3 other siblings myself.
Yeah.
It's a big age gap. My sisters are 12 years older than me.
Oh, really?
My brother's 4 years older than me. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
But that's dope, man. My sister has an opera singer. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
And then so she's like non-medical, and then my parents were both in the medical field as well. So they kind of like they never pushed me into the medical field, but I kind of saw what they did, and I was like, oh, it seems interesting. I like the medical, the science of it. Yeah. I guess.
You say you were inspired by them a bit, like
a little bit, yeah. I see them, and they had good jobs, good reputations. People really liked what they did, and they were able to help a lot of people. So
what they do specifically?
They were both physicians.
Oh, okay, nice.
So they both worked in oncology, actually. So that's cancer.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's just like I'd hear stories about them being able to like really help their patients in like a really awful problem.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like meaningful in a way that they never like pushed me. They were like, you can do whatever you want. But like come around the office and like see what I do and see if that's interesting to you or whatever. So a couple times I did
simple
that.
exposure is all it takes sometimes.
And I saw them do kind of work their whole life at home and
Yeah.
stuff, always talking with people on the phone or whatever. So that was a huge resource for me.
Wow, that's dope, man. That's amazing, man. Wow. Okay. So you had early on just that, like I said, that exposure, and you were able to kind of just see it, and without having the pressure of like the demand to be right. And
Right.
And even still, it's like you weren't like as as an adult, you weren't pursuing it per se. You were like educating yourself, but you still ended up just kind of falling, like you said, just falling into this gig here. So it ended up working out, man. Do you think that things happen for a reason?
That's a good question.
Like fate or destiny or whatever.
I don't know. I think it's a possibility for sure. I don't know why things happen. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
But
Nobody knows for sure, right?
yeah. I don't know. Are you religious? My parents were. My mom was religious and raised my sister and I Roman Catholic.
Oh, okay.
And so
Yeah, I grew up Christian.
a little bit like that, but I don't practice as much anymore.
Yeah, same.
So it's like, I don't know. I can't say I'm like a devout, like all that stuff, but maybe.
Maybe. Who
Maybe.
knows? It wasn't a question on here. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Random throwing question there.
Yeah.
But what is a question is I always wonder. You did mention that gymnastics was like your thing growing up. Was that like when you're in like first grade or whatever, you somebody comes up to you, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Was it gymnastics? What was your response to that?
Yeah. How did I think I just started like recreational classes. A lot of parents put their kids in that to like burn off energy, do something athletic. Maybe they're good at it. But it didn't start out as anything like that. And then going through classes, one of the coaches was like, hey, you should like do this on our competitive team. And I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And then I kind of like did that and started to like fall in love with it. And so I did that probably from like 6 years old, if I had to say.
Wow.
Through college. And so that was good. And so for a long time, the dream was like, oh, I want to go to the Olympics or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Ask any kid, they'll kind of say that. So
Yeah.
nonetheless, that did not work out because I wasn't that good. But
I don't believe that, man.
but
A lot of luck in that too.
it was good. It was good. I mean, I was in the gym like a part-time job almost through high school and through my entire childhood. So it was like made super close friends. I feel like my coaches, participated in raising me to a degree, almost because we were around them so much and they're teaching me, everything, not just like the sport itself, but they teach you, how to behave and discipline and stuff like that. So it was a really beneficial thing for me. And then when I went to college, I was like, I'm going to have to do something else. I'm going to have to like study something. Gymnastics is never like a full-time thing. Like there's no money in it. It's not like a professional sports league or anything. So I was always like, what am I going to do after this?
Right.
And then I kind of was like, athletics, there's like physical therapy and kind of the athletic side of medicine, sports medicine or orthopedic stuff. So I was like, maybe that'll be what I like. And so that's kind of what started my looking into medicine and stuff. So
it's kind of shifted a little bit, but
yeah, a little bit.
But original dreams of being an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, when I was young. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. Do you find yourself still doing gymnastic things? Like, do you just randomly start flipping and stuff?
Not so much anymore. I did. So I kind of stopped through college. When I graduated college, I was like, all right, my body's beaten up enough. I don't need to like keep beating myself up.
Yeah.
Because it's not without injuries. I have torn ligaments in both my shoulders, which were a pain. But now that I'm not doing gymnastics and I'm not like doing all this weird stuff
Yeah.
that you wouldn't normally do, it doesn't bother me. So
Okay.
glad that I can walk away with that.
Yeah.
In pretty good shape. And I forgot your question. What was it?
Just if you did random gymnastic stuff.
Oh yeah,
find
yeah.
yourself
So
flipping
yeah,
and tumbling and
sometimes
stuff.
like I said, I kind of make a lot of close relationships with people I grew up doing it, and so sometimes I'll get together with them and we'll go in the gym and screw around.
Yeah.
Nothing like serious, nothing like we're training for any particular reason, but yeah, sometimes it's good to just like go back and visit stuff and play around a little bit. I also coached when I was starting at
Oh, yeah.
16, kind of like as early as they would hire me. I started coaching.
Yeah. Nice.
So I haven't done that in a while, but occasionally they'll go on like, "Hey, can you come help us coach on
Yeah.
like the girls or the guys team?" So
Yeah.
it's a good thing to visit back to every once in a while.
Yeah. I tell you what, man, if I'm ever somewhere laying down with a gunshot wound or something, I'm bleeding out, and I see my EMT guy just do a triple somersault over to me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know I'm
right
safe,
over
bro.
to
I'm
you,
in
yeah.
good hands, bro. This guy's elite. I'm happy about that, dude. All right. So you say you've been working, you got through your training and all that, and officially on your own. About 6 months, you were out and doing your own thing.
Yeah.
I want to do like a little bit of a compare and contrast kind of thing. Your expectations, like the first couple of weeks learning about the position, like seeing into your training and what you were feeling, those feelings you were feeling, those expectations you were having, compared to now, a little deeper into it, and seeing what it actually is, and how that kind of differs, and if it met your expectations, if it's different from what you thought it was. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So I think I said earlier that I was like, I didn't know what EMS was really like before I got into it. And so you see like shows on TV or movies or whatever where it's like, oh, they run on scene and someone's dying and they save lives. And that does happen.
Yeah.
That does happen. But like learning about the job and actually doing it, most of the time it's actually not like that. Like you're not saving lives every second of the day.
Yeah. It's like the highlight reel, really. Right.
Kind of. And so sometimes, like, a majority of the job is like people that just need to go to the ER that, like, they're having this problem that's bothering them and they need to get it checked out, and they need to get it checked out as, like quickly. Right. They can't wait to schedule a doctor's appointment because doctors are booking out like, I can give you an appointment in 3 months or whatever. So it's like a lot of people like it's not always like an emergent thing. We'll show up a lot of times on scene and they'll be like, I don't know. I'm just gonna say like a typical like, I'm having belly pain.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. And it's like us as EMTs, we don't really do a lot for that. Like we can like ask you all the questions, see like, oh, it started last week. Or it started like today after I ate something real bad. I got bad food poisoning, or I got like maybe starting like an appendicitis or something. So some of the things like are urgent, but a lot of them are actually not. And so that was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
To me. But and then there certainly are those cases which happen probably. I want to say like 10 to 15% of the time is like, hey, there's like a bad car accident on the road over there. Go like make sure everyone's okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are beat up pretty badly. Albany, like any city, has its rough parts. So there's, especially in the summer, there's a lot of like crime, violence, kind of like assault stuff, lots of drug stuff, overdoses. So that happens a decent amount of time too. So it's kind of a mix. Again, you're not always saving lives, but it's like you get a wide range of things that you can see, and it's kind of just whatever calls you.
So since you've in this amount of time, have you already seen like fatalities and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how were you? Do you feel like you were already mentally prepared to see and experience and witness those things going in, or was it an adjustment?
I think it was a little bit of an adjustment. I mean, right from training, and I'm glad this is the case, but there was a whole chapter in our like training curriculum, whatever, that was devoted to like mental health and like, hey, you're gonna see some crazy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can swear. Can I
No,
swear?
you're good. Yeah, you're good.
You're gonna see some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And they were like, some of you might have seen stuff like that before. You know, you might have seen a loved one pass on. You might have not have, but like, these aren't pleasant things, and you need to be able to deal with them and stuff. So it's the job isn't for everyone. If you can't perform in that situation,
Right.
you know, that's you have a job to do.
Right.
So that's primary your focus. But like after the call, when whatever happens, if you get into the hospital or whatever, it then you're just sitting there like thinking about what just happened. You're like, oh shit, you know, all hits.
Yeah.
And then like you got to be able to deal with your emotions, and they have like a lot of resources now. You can talk to your partners and stuff, but then there's more professional, like, hey, we can set you up with this, you know, therapist, talk through everything, talk through it with someone who's been on the job for years and years and have seen a whole lot of stuff. And, you know, it's there's a lot of like mental health resources. So I'm glad that's the case, but it's definitely a little bit of an adjustment.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine, even with all the training in the world, until you're actually there experiencing it and seeing it, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
you know, you can't really prepare too much for that. So, you know, speaking of experiencing these things and you know, going through it, is there a standout day or story or experience that you've had that's either, you know, super chaotic and you were like super overwhelmed and had to push through it, or super heartwarming, you know, just anything that really, you know, stuck with you in your experience so far?
So I guess I'll go to this one story where we it was me and my partner, and we do this kind of call at our company. Like I said, we do transports like between hospitals or whatever. We also go out of the area. So we call them long distance transports, where you bring people to like New York City or something on an ambulance ride, or like Boston or whatever. So we'll travel kind of out of the area. And so me and my buddy, my partner at the time, got dispatched to Albany Med to bring this pediatric patient down to a hospital in New York. And that's, you know, we get those all the time. It's not crazy, but the kid was 6 months old.
Oh my.
And he had a tracheostomy, so he was breathing through a tube in his throat. I forget what the reason for him having that was, but he had a trach tube. And he's 6 months old, so he can't really take care of himself.
Yeah, it's crazy you said pediatric, and I just, like, the first thing that came to my head was like 12, 11, 13.
Yeah, I mean, it goes like...
Yeah.
Technically, like 17 is pediatric, and then it goes all the way down to like infants and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, yeah, we take this kid with a trach. He has to go down there for some specialized care regarding that.
Yeah.
And so I'm the driver because my buddy is an EMT, but he was not trained to drive. So I have to drive. He is going to be the guy in the back. And, you know, we pick up at the hospital. The nurses are like, oh, this kid is so sweet. You know, he's okay. Sometimes you just have to do a little bit of trach care, but it shouldn't be anything crazy. And you guys are all set. So we're like, cool. We get the kid on our stretcher. We load in the ambulance and start on our way to New York. We probably get like 2 hours into the trip. We're not too far from the city at this point, maybe like an hour or so.
Yeah.
And I'm driving, and I hear my buddy in the back start like rummaging around. And he like starts like, you know, opening compartments in the ambulance and taking stuff out. And I'm like, hey man, what's going on? And he's like, nothing, we're okay right now, but kid's like breathing looks a little weird. Like he doesn't look like he was breathing comfortably like he was a little bit ago. And so he's just trying to figure out, we can give people oxygen, we can give people, you know, we can try and clean out their trach to make sure there's nothing in the way. Some basic stuff. And pediatric patients, especially for a 6-month-old, that's like, that is a tiny person. So like a lot of the equipment sometimes has to be sized down for that. and we didn't have a lot of that specialized equipment. So getting a set of vitals on him, which is like pretty basic as far as EMS goes, for a person that small without the right size is pretty difficult. So my buddy is like trying his best to do that, succeeding sometimes, but not reliably. And he's like not really sure what's going on. And he's trying to figure it out and trying to help the kid. And so he gets on the phone with our, supervisor, our captain. He tells them what's going on. And they're helping him work through this problem of trying to get the kid to like breathe a little bit easier for like half an hour, 45 minutes. And they're doing a bunch of stuff. I'm trying to listen from the back. And so I'm worried because on like a typical 911, as an EMS, you can kind of decide what hospital you want to go to. Patient usually decides, but if they're like unconscious and they can't make that decision for yourself, we like, hey, we need to go to the nearest hospital to stabilize them, or we need to go to Albany Med because they have something that Ellis doesn't, or something like that, right? So you can kind of decide. But like on a long distance transport, we're supposed to go to that hospital and only that hospital. So it's like, I'm like worried if this kid stops breathing, like we're still an hour away, like shit's gonna hit the fan.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's kind of shitting his pants in the back. I'm trying to listen in and not really sure what's going on, but I get the idea.
Yeah.
And so basically we end up having to call our dispatch and be like, hey, this kid isn't going to make it to the hospital. We have to go to a closer one. And so I'll wait for my buddy, and he's like, all right, Jeremy, like, they're going to give you a new hospital to go to. Get us there as quickly as possible. So we were originally like driving normal, like no, not emergency. But then when he says that, I flip lights and sirens on and book it off the highway to get to this nearest hospital, which was thankfully like 25 minutes off the highway from where we were instead of like crazy far distance.
Now, when you say 25 minutes, is that the time it took you to get there, or that's like exactly? Because I know at that point you're doing some pretty crazy speeds, right?
Yeah, it depends. So you have to be safe too, right? If you don't make it there in one piece, right? It's like you drive fast, but you drive safe too, especially with a kid that young in the back. And my buddy who's running around, he's not wearing a seatbelt.
Oh, that's true.
He's kind of running around, so he has to be safe too.
Right.
So yeah, I want to say 25 minutes normally, but with lights and sirens, we got there probably in 15.
Okay.
And we got into the ER having to have a pediatric unit, which is great. And they were like, yeah, this kid was like not breathing at all. And this should have actually been a higher level of care than you guys. Like a paramedic should have been doing this, not you guys. So it was like kind of crazy. And like all things considered, it turned out pretty well because we got into the hospital, we got the care he needed, and he was fine when we got to the hospital.
That's amazing. Wow.
But that was kind of like the most scared I've been in a way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I want all my patients to survive, right?
Of course.
But for a kid, it's like
A
much
infant,
more.
A baby is crazy.
It's like everything's heightened a little bit, and kind of everyone will tell you that. Like pediatrics, no one screws around with that.
Yeah.
So it's like we were worried, and I was scared, but I was up front driving. My buddy in the back was like terrified.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Nothing's working.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So he was a real champion that day.
Yeah, man.
I guess it's not like the craziest story, but that was like
No, what do
something
you
that
mean?
really.
No, man. Hey, shout out to both of you guys for like the super quick thinking, man, and it just knowing protocol, knowing to even, okay, this is beyond my scope. Let me call somebody that can help walk me through it. You know what I mean? There are some people that whether it's ego or just panic or shock, they just will try to do it themselves, and that can just make things worse. Like if you don't have the right training or experience to handle a certain situation.
Right.
So for the sake of that baby, dude, I think everything was done exactly the way it needed to be done for that baby to survive. It could have been a way worse outcome, right?
Yeah.
So, nah, bro, don't sleep on that, bro. Shout out to both of you, bro. Like, that's crazy. It's a crazy experience, man. And I'm glad that he or she had y'all in that moment. That's
I
dope.
appreciate
That's
that.
dope.
Yeah,
That's
it was a good experience.
Yeah,
Learning
yeah.
everything, how to handle a situation like
I was
that.
nervous because I asked you earlier if you've seen any fatalities. I was like,
No,
please don't let this
thank
be the
God.
one.
No, no, no,
I was
no.
like, man.
No, thank
Yeah,
God
man.
that like none of my fatalities have been pediatrics.
Mm-hmm.
But that does happen. Like you'll ask other people at the company, and it's like, yeah, man, I just had a kid who passed away for one reason or another. It's like
Yeah.
those are like the worst
Yeah.
calls. So
Yeah, that's terrible, man. That's a terrible thing to have to cope with and
yeah,
experience. Like I'm sure there's a certain level of guilt. Like what could I have done differently or
yeah,
whatever.
just weighs heavy on you.
Man, yeah, man, that's tough. Let me just do a quick quality check. Want to make sure we're getting everything, man. This is going great so far, man. You're doing an awesome job.
Thank you, man. I like your questions. You're real prepared.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got
I
everything
appreciate
set
it.
up. Got everything like how you want it to go.
Yeah, man. It's helpful when I have somebody that's comfortable and willing to talk and share. The beauty of the setup of the podcast is it's when something like community work, you can ask the same type of questions
Yeah.
but get such different answers each time.
Sure,
Because the
sure.
professions are so different. But the structure is pretty much the same. And my job's pretty easy over here. I just read off the questions, just listen, let you share, and spread awareness and things like that, man. Like I said, it's going great. You're doing great, man. And we're trucking right along. How you feeling? Can you need anything? We'll consider this like a little brief
Yeah,
introduction.
I'm good.
Good right now?
Keep it going.
All right, cool. I do want to talk a little bit. You made me start thinking about just. I would love to learn a little more about like what exactly it's like as far as like the driving and the speeds and what are there certain like specific protocols and things you can't do or like how does that work? Because I just from an outsider we just see ambulances just
Right.
zooming through, but I didn't even I don't really think about. You're right. You got the crew in the back, whether it's your one partner or two people that aren't really buckled up or strapped in. So, and if you're like rushing and trying to get through traffic, that that can be dangerous for everybody. So is there any? Can you expound on that a little bit? If there's like certain protocols that you have to meet or whatever the case may be?
Yeah. There's absolutely protocols. Again, most of it's based on safety. You can't drive at Mach 4 if everyone's going to be jumbled around in the back and cause more injury, right? You're trying to get someone because they need medical care. And so you can't jostle them around in the back because if they're doing something, it might cause harm. Or if you're just like a lot of people we have are older patients who like fall and hurt themselves. Like a broken hip is like a crazy huge injury for someone who's old and not able to move around as much, and that takes them down like a whole lot. So
Yeah.
I think it sometimes just the bumps in the road can like be really uncomfortable for them, and that's like something that we have to take into consideration.
Right. And you got potential lawsuits, stuff like that.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
it's like if God forbid, you were to injure someone, it would be a huge thing.
That's right.
And there's like the horror stories or something you might see in movies of like people dropping patients on like the stretcher, the stretcher collapsing and tipping over or something like.
Videos, yeah.
It's something that happens in movies, but also I've heard stories of it happening in real life too. So it's like that you just got to be careful.
Yeah.
But like little things like that, like don't go crazy. Also, a lot of the time, like for emergency medicine, if you're running around and like being super chaotic and panicking on scene, that's usually not a good thing. They stress that if you show up to a really bad call, don't panic. Try to like keep everything calm and so you can calm the patient down, which helps for them, but also like don't stress yourself out and get yourself like out of like a good headspace to like think about what's going on and to do the right thing. Because if you show up and you're like, oh my God, I gotta do this, it's like not good.
You're more likely to miss things and
But yeah, as far as driving goes, we follow all the normal roads or all the normal like laws regarding driving. And then for when you're going emergency lights and sirens and stuff, you can go through a red light, but it's actually you have to clear the intersection before, so you have to come to a full stop. Make sure that no one's going through, because if you have a red light, someone else has a green light, and if they don't see or hear you,
Yeah.
Even though you have the lights and sirens, some people like have windows up, music blaring,
Right. That's
or
right.
they're just not paying attention, or they're distracted. So it's like they might barrel through, and like if you just go through a red light because you think everyone sees you, well, they don't.
And
So
if you don't necessarily do that complete stop before going through an intersection, or at least something close to it, and you do have a collision, are you automatically at fault no
Yeah.
matter what? Wow.
I don't know if automatically, because there's definitely, especially since I've been on the job, that some people have been involved in accidents where it's definitely not their fault. And so I don't think automatically, but there's a lot of things that as a driver for an emergency vehicle you have to be conscious of. And you have to be like, all right, I can't just rule the road because I don't.
Right.
And then the other thing is we can only go legally 10 miles an hour over the speed limit,
Oh wow. Okay.
which most people already do.
You're
Which
right.
is, so it's
exactly.
kind of like a weird thing.
Yeah, especially around here.
But yeah, that's like the legal, the guideline there. So again, it's always up to drivers' judgment. Like only go as fast as you're comfortable going. And for people in the back, like it's a lot more bumpy than it is up front. So you have to be like super conscious of that and what's going on in the back. If they're, a paramedic might try to start an IV, and if they're putting a needle in someone's arm while you're bumping around and stuff, it's like you have to coordinate with them, communicate. Sometimes, like I've been told to like pull over and just stop so they can do an IV, and then once they have it in, we'll go again.
Yeah.
Because like some of the roads around here are just terrible.
Yeah.
And you can be the best driver in the world, but sometimes you're not gonna avoid like massive potholes.
Right.
So,
Right. Exactly. Especially in high stakes situations, high
Right.
intensity situations. It's probably, man. That's like, I'm just thinking about just the hectic like chaos that could be going in your head in that moment if you realize somebody's potentially dying in the back, and you want to just help them so bad, and you just like, you're like, I gotta get you there, but then you probably got somebody in the back yelling at you like, slow down, but then you're like, we gotta get there, you know what I mean? It's probably crazy. I can't even, you see, more and more hearing about this, man, and talking with you, I'm realizing I don't think I could do this type of work. I don't. If I was to mess up anyhow, I'd probably be that guy that drops somebody, trying to get them over.
Yeah, for real.
I don't know why. That just resonated with me. I'm like, that'd probably be me. Of all things, that sounds like something I would do, bro.
Yeah.
Like trying to get you up, just fumble it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not stuff that it's you learn it all. So
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do it either. I was like, how do we do this?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's crazy, man. Yeah, I was definitely curious about that because, like I said, it's things that people don't think about. You see an ambulance, it's like they're just going as fast as they can, and you just assume that they're going like 90, 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
But no, man, no. Like I say, we naturally go like about 10 over the speed limit already. So
Most
if
people,
you
yeah.
have an emergency situation going on in the back, it's probably easy to look at your speedometer and be like, oh shit, I'm 20 over the speed limit.
Right.
Let me try to slow down, but then how can you have those thoughts if this is crazy? A lot of moving parts, man. It's so much more like mental than I even realized, of having to consider certain things and think about certain things and deal with it. Whole time you could still be trying to, you could still be in shock depending on how bad the situation is of what you just walked in and witnessed as well. So, man, crazy, man. All right, small little pivot here. I'm curious, right? You going into work and having such stressful, high intensity situations sometimes, or even a slow day. What kind of things do you find yourself at this stage of your life doing outside of work on your free time?
So yeah, before, like I said, I did gymnastics for a while, and that was always like, I did school and athletics. I did, what athletics was always like my outlet, or the other thing that I did. And so after I stopped doing that, I was like, oh, I have all this free time. I think I've taken up music, not as like an artist or anything. I don't have that type of creativity, I don't think. But I've kind of really taken a liking to dance music and like electronic type stuff.
Okay, a little EDM stuff like that.
Yeah, so I like going to shows, and I like watching other full people's sets on YouTube or whatever, and DJing and stuff. I got my own like the cheapest equipment that I could find and
Yeah.
try and figure it out, see if I can do
Okay.
it. But it's just something I like a hobby or like something.
Yeah. Just
I
start
think
picking
it's
up
fun.
on it.
I'm not doing it for any other reason.
Yeah.
But I like to do that. There's not a lot of stuff like that here in Albany, but
Yeah.
sometimes there is, and sometimes I got a buddy who lives in the city, so I'll crash with him and be like, hey, we're going to this show.
Yeah.
So that's something I really like doing, and I've met a lot of people kind of through that and made some friends doing that stuff. And I also try and stay active. I don't work out as consistently as I'd like to, but a couple friends have brought me rock climbing.
Oh, nice.
So there's a couple places in the area. There's like one in Clifton Park, one in Latham,
Yeah.
probably another one somewhere. But they got like free climbing areas where it's like a 15 or 20-foot wall that they put like stones on, and you know there's like different levels to it.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I enjoy a lot too.
Nice.
Is like staying active, because it's rock climbing is like not kind of like your typical workout, but it's like an endurance thing, and
It's
also
definitely
like,
a workout for sure.
you know, your fingers, your forearms is like you're not doing like the major muscle group workout that you would think of when you just like lift weights.
I'd imagine it's a lot of core though too. You know, you gotta have like grip
Yeah,
strength and all
yeah,
that.
it's
but
a lot
just
of
to
like body
stay-
weight stuff,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and there's a little bit of strategy to it too. So I like that. That's like a super cool thing that I've kind of taken on more recently.
Yeah. Nice.
So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you find that you have sufficient amount of time to, you know, kind of indulge in personal endeavors or whatever? Like, how's your work-life balance? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good right now. I think back when I first started, they were like really incentivizing people to like pick up extra shifts because they were short staffed. Now, you know, almost a full year later, we're very well staffed actually. So they've done a good job getting people on since then. But yeah, I mean, like a full work week is like 3 or 4 shifts. It's either 36 or 48 hours because the normal shift is like 12.
Okay.
So you'll work 3 or 4 shifts a week, and then you can pick up overtime if you want. Again, because we're so well staffed, that's
Yeah.
not as like available anymore. But yeah, my normal work week is 36 hours, and I get 3 days on, 4 days off. It's not
Yeah.
bad in terms of work-life balance.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I have a decent amount of time to
It's an
like try
ideal
and
schedule for a lot
figure
of people.
stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind to get a 12-hour shift. You know, like you said, 3 on, 4 off, whatever. That's solid to me.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah. I think that's like slowly becoming like the new like kind of go-to. I've noticed, especially in like factory work. Like I said, I've done a lot of factory work. I lived in Virginia for a little while, and I've worked in all kinds of like, you know, plants and just manufacturing work. And I've seen that a lot of people don't really like the 8-hour shifts Monday through Friday. With like, especially like with work like this, you just want to do your time and have more days off rather than, you know, a bunch of 8-hour days.
Right.
But I'm curious. I know you mentioned you guys are super staffed without trying to be messy. You know what I mean? I'm not trying. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's drama in every workplace. How do you feel that is? You know, with this type of work, is it usually like just everybody's, you know, super professional and just knows, you know, what you're there for and it's fine, or does it have, you know, does some of that drama and workplace, you know, messiness translate into this work EMS stuff as well?
Yeah, I agree with like any workplace is gonna have its like its quirks or whatever. I think EMS is very like there's variety in all of it. There's variety in like the kind of calls you go on. There's variety in like the people that you work with. So there's a ton. There's a huge range of like personalities that you can work with. Some people you get along with well. Some people you really connect with without really having to try, and then other people's they're just like very different from you, and you don't really vibe with them. So it kind of everything. There's yeah. I'm making. I consider like a handful of people that I've met since being on the job friends, as opposed to like a coworker or whatever. But there's a lot of people I was just like, you know, I'd work with them. I don't really have to work with them again because it's just I think it's like a personality thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's definitely drama. There's all the stupid shit that goes on kind of anywhere.
Yeah.
I think EMS is unique in a way that it's one of those professions that you see a lot of shit during the day that we see like gross things, disgusting things that we walk into some weird situations, so it kind of lends itself to be a little bit informal because you just have a job to do. If
Right.
someone's someone falls in the shower, you're gonna walk in, they're gonna be naked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you walk into some weird and then just kind of like you make jokes about it. You have to keep it light because some of the stuff is very dark, and so it kind of lends itself to being a little bit informal, which I personally like a little bit, but you also have to keep it professional. So it's
Right.
I try and like find the line between
Yeah.
like being too much on one side, but there's a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life.
Yeah.
So I'll say I'll stop there.
Yeah. Well, I can say from the day that we met, it seemed like you had a pretty cool relationship with the partner that you were with.
Yeah.
That particular day.
He's good.
You guys had a pretty good connection. I've noticed, which was good to see, man. Especially in, like I said, in this type of work that we're doing, how your first responders and the people that are supposed to be saving you are conducting themselves, and the energy that they approach with is I think it's very crucial and important, to making the patient feel safe. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
so that's good, man. That's good that you guys have that. Let's see, where are we? I mean, what do you find that it's I don't know. It seems like I guess to kind of sum up the last question, it seems like it's not too bad. It has its things, but it's not to the point where it's like, oh, I can't stand these guys.
No, I mean there are a couple people that I've worked with that are like, I never want to work with this person again.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Is it easy to avoid like the BS or whatever? Like
Sometimes, I mean, there's some people like a normal crew is too. You can't go do a call on yourself,
right.
because you can't drive and be in the back at the same time. Like it has to be two people at least. So if there's someone that you really don't like, but they need a partner, the company's going to be like, well, you guys got to work together because otherwise we're going to be down a crew for the day or whatever. So sometimes you might be kind of forced into a situation where you have to work with someone, but the company's pretty good. They'll kind of listen to you and be like, hey, if you really don't work well, because they also don't want that if
Right.
people start arguing or people start like being unprofessional in front of a patient or at the hospital, that they don't want that looks bad for the company. So it's not a huge deal, and I'm like it takes a lot to piss me off.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more to get me to say something about it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm pretty cool. I'll usually just like work with you once, and if I don't like you, then I'll be like, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, for sure.
But some people are a little bit more fiery, and there have been like unprofessional times. So you got to like learn how to behave and learn how to deal with people you don't like.
Have you come across like super difficult patients or family members, like when you come up to a scene, just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, these guys are making it super hard for me to do my job right now.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, patients can definitely be, depending on what kind of call it is, because we get called to a whole bunch of things. Like I said, there's a lot of crime. There's a lot of like drug problems, and so we walk into some situations that sometimes aren't safe. That's why we respond a lot with the police department.
Right.
They'll show up and then they'll make sure it's good, and then we can go in and do what we have to do. But it's patients like that can be difficult if they're on drugs and they're not really in the right state of mind, and they're not like processing things appropriately. Psychiatric patients can be difficult sometimes if they're like really again, kind of like not oriented correctly, not really processing what's going on. If they're like, you know, just like a general example of like a schizophrenic person who's having hallucinations and doesn't know that, you know, we show up, we're in big scary uniforms, and they might be really scared and they might like get, you know,
Aggressive
on
or
the
whatever?
defensive or aggressive or violent or whatever. So it's like that kind of whatever, and not to like stigmatize mental health or schizophrenia or anything, but it's like
But it happens.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of stuff like that, a lot of like, we'll pick up people who are drunk and intoxicated all the time. You know, maybe they're not overdosing, but they're very, very high and out of it. So it's like, again, like altered levels of like mental state is like a big one that can make dealing with patients difficult. And then some people, again, just like personality, are difficult to work with. They might, you know, you'll walk into a scene and you think you're starting to do what you're going to do, and again, you're trying to stay calm because it's like maybe an emergent, you know, call, but then the family's there and like, oh my God, you're not moving fast enough. They'll start yelling at you.
Yeah.
And they'll start like telling you to move faster, and they'll be like, my, you know, husband's life depends on you. Like you have to move fast. Like the family can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
So not most of it, I would say, but just you're going to run into all different people in all different situations. So it's sometimes they're pleasant people who, again, in that situation, like a lot of times if we're doing like a cardiac arrest or someone's actively dying, someone got shot, people will yell at us for not like getting in and out right away.
Yeah.
It's like we have stuff to do. We have procedures that we follow.
Right.
So it's just stuff that you wouldn't necessarily know until, like, I didn't know it before I started.
Yeah.
So
Do you find yourself having a higher tolerance dealing with, let's say, colleagues over like the public, or vice versa?
I don't know if I would say higher tolerance. I think it's probably pretty equal split between coworkers and patients
Just
and
people
stuff.
in general, you can
Just
maintain.
people, yeah. I don't know that I differentiate really, but I make an effort. Like it takes a lot for me to like get really upset about something.
Yeah.
So I'll put a good effort towards, you know, getting along with you and working well and stuff like that. Again, there's really not a lot of people that I don't like to that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just all different kinds of people. I'll tell you this one call we did, people when they have seizures and after they stop seizing, they can still be a little bit out of it. So they might not like know what's going on, where they are, you know, who's around them, what's going on. And so we got called to this guy who had a seizure, and someone else, either who knew him or it might have just been a bystander, called 911 because they were like, hey, this guy had a seizure and he fell down on the ground and slammed his head. And so they were like, call an ambulance, whatever. And so we showed up, you know, the ambulance company, fire department responds to EMS calls, so they're always there too, and the police too. I don't remember why the police were there, but it's a good thing they were because the guy was super out of it.
Yeah.
He wasn't actively seizing, but he was like, he kind of woke up and came back to after the seizure, and he was like surrounded by all the firemen, all the EMS people, and they were like trying to like bandage him, and he was like, whoa, what's going on? Like he didn't, you don't remember that you have a seizure or whatever. And so point is, and this can happen, he like started to get like aggressive. He was like pushing us away. He was like, dude, get off me. Like we were just like, dude, calm down. Like you have a wound on the back of your head. You just had a seizure. Like you need to get to the hospital. You just might have injured yourself pretty good. And he didn't believe it. He was like, you got to get off me. So the police ended up having to like restrain him.
Right.
Because otherwise he's going to like start attacking us. Like that's the other scenario. So it's like, I hate when it has to get to that point. Someone has to be like restrained, but if it's for everyone's safety, then we kind of don't have a choice.
Safety first.
And so a bystander who didn't see what happened, but now it looks like the police are jumping on this guy, pulls out their phone and is recording
Oh,
this, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, oh, police are being brutal, and EMS is there, and I want all your guys, names and whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's that stuff you see like on the internet,
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like, if you just watch that video, you'd be like, oh my god, these police are being like super brutal. When
Any
it's like,
context or backstory or anything.
yeah, you need
Yeah.
context. I'm not, trying to generalize anything, but like,
Yeah, no, I hear you.
it's situation. So like that, like a scenario where like bystanders or people around the area can be like a little bit, intruding, or a little bit like
Problematic if you
yeah,
can.
problematic
Yeah.
is a good word.
So you don't like, I know like I've have experience working in like psychiatric hospitals,
Yeah.
things like that. There are protocols when a patient is aggressing, and you can like do certain things. Let's say the police aren't necessarily there yet, and you have somebody you're trying to help and they're aggressing towards you. Do you guys have something set in place to where you can at least protect yourself until you can get further help, or?
Yeah. So generally, if we know, if we know ahead of time that we're walking into a situation that isn't safe, we won't walk in at all. We'll wait for police to get there, then they'll call us in. That's the ideal scenario. Sometimes we don't know.
Right.
Sometimes we walk in and then someone who was fine becomes crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's tough. And for us on the EMS side, we have restraints that we can use to keep someone, from harming us or themselves or whatever. There are protocols that we follow to use those things, but it kind of comes down to like, if you're not in a safe situation, get out.
Okay.
And that's like just for like EMS, like that's like one of the first things they teach you in EMS training is they call it BSI, scene safe. BSI means like, put your gloves on if you're gonna be walking into like someone's bleeding. You need to protect yourself.
That's right.
From like disease and shit. BSI, scene safe. Don't go in if it's not safe. If it's not safe and you're already in, get out. Like if someone starts like lunging at you with like a broken bottle or like a needle that they pulled out of their arm, get out.
Yeah.
And like wait for someone, because you can't help someone if you're another patient.
Right.
So that's kind of generally how it goes. I've been lucky enough to not be in any of those situations. But we work a lot with police, and they'll make sure like, hey, everything's like under control here. If something does go crazy, then we're still going to be here. A lot of times if we pick up someone who was being a little bit like belligerent or whatever, the cops will ride in the back of the ambulance with us to the hospital and make sure like that we're safe.
Yeah.
The patient's safe. Everyone's safe.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I didn't really have any exposure to real police work before kind of working with them in this scenario or in this setting.
Yeah.
So it's I have a newfound respect for them when it's like a lot of the stuff you see like online is pretty negative about police, but like most of them are like really pretty good people.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, you don't really know until you can end up working with them hand in hand, on a regular basis, kind of get that inside look. Like you said, the stuff that goes viral is usually no matter negative, or people love to see the drama and like the bad, and the spotlight isn't really ever pointed on the positive as much at all. So it's refreshing to hear somebody that is there every day and can see that, can vouch like, hey, it's not all bad. In fact, it's the minority.
Yeah,
that's bad. It's good to hear. Jeremy, we're on the final leg of the interview. I'm gonna do one more check because I have like this ongoing paranoia that I'm gonna look at my phone and see that I got nothing.
It didn't record anything, and you just wasted an hour.
And I'll just end up crying myself to sleep. So we're looking good. Man, how you feeling?
Good.
All right, this is the point where I want to talk to you about what your end goal is, what your end game for your professional life. You know what I mean? Do you feel like you're gonna settle in this for for a significant amount of time. I don't know if people really retire in EMS work or not, or how that looks like. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, they. It's definitely a career path. I don't see myself in this super long term. Maybe I'm coming up on a year now from like this time I started training.
Yeah.
Probably like another year or maybe two max. Because again, kind of like I was a scribe before. That was not an end goal. That was just like experience, exposure to medicine, and go from there. And then I was like, okay, I'm tired of working for minimum wage. I want a little bit of a pay bump, and I'm gonna do something else to like get exposure in a different way. So that's what EMS was. I've had kind of like a quarter life crisis going on for a couple of years now, where I like trying to figure out what I want to do for my career and spend the rest of my life doing. I've kind of always thought it would be something in healthcare, and so I've kind of prepared up to this point to go to med school. So that's kind of like the front runner there. I think I'll probably end up applying in the new year, just because I've been putting it off for so long, and I just was never really sure that that's what I really wanted. But the more I think about it, the more I've had exposure to working on the ambulance, working with the doctors at the hospital, stuff like that. I think it's probably going to be the most fulfilling. That's if I can get in.
Yeah.
It's not an easy job, but like I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably my end goal.
Yeah.
Aside from going in EMS, EMS is good. I don't mind the emergency room. Like at the hospital, it's like it's chaotic, but it's like a little bit more controlled than it is like on an ambulance. Like we're on the streets, we're on like walking into people's houses, walking into like weird situations. So I think that's a little like too chaotic for me. You can't always control everything, and you're never going to control everything. But
Right.
it's a little too chaotic, I think, for my liking personally to spend like my career doing it.
Yeah.
But props to everyone who can. A lot of people do EMS. They go to like the fire departments or whatever, because the fire departments have a pretty good like pension and benefits set up. It's a good like job in that respect. And like I said, the fire department shows up to all the EMS calls.
Yeah.
They're not just fighting fires.
Yeah.
So they got a good gig over there, and a lot of people that I work with are kind of on that path. But I think I've always been kind of into the medicine of it. I want to probably be a provider of some sort. So that's
Definitely gonna stay medical.
I think we're working towards that. Yeah.
Okay. You sure you're not gonna reignite your gymnastic dreams? Try to one last shot at the Olympics?
I think my body would explode if I did that. It would just rip apart.
Dope, man. Do you feel like you're living in your purpose? Like this is what you're meant to be doing, medical, or is just you feel like you just like this is just you like it? This is what's fulfilling you right now. Do you even believe in a purpose or anything like that?
I do believe in purpose. I think EMS for me right now, it's a stepping stone. So it's giving me purpose. It's not like a lifelong thing. Not like the ultimate goal.
Right.
But I think I've had a lot of difficulty deciding what I want to do in medicine, because I was like, I don't know if I can spend like my whole life doing this. Like, is it really interesting? And then it's gonna like, I'm just not gonna like it at the end for whatever reason, or like is it gonna fulfill me for my whole life, whatever. So that's kind of like the decision that I've been trying to make for a while, and I think I'm just gonna have to like jump into it. I do believe in purpose, and I believe that medicine is very purposeful. To be able to like, even though as EMS we don't like, we're not always saving lives, there is purpose in it. There is, you are a cog in the machine of healthcare, of getting someone to hopefully a better place. So I think that's gonna be like the ultimate thing that I come back to, where it's like, oh, if I get into med school, or if I do, whatever, nursing
Yeah.
is super important, being some kind of provider. It's like all of that stuff is super important. So I think medicine in general, I've been chasing, because regardless of what specific role I fill, there's a job that needs to be done.
Yeah,
And
right.
there's a job that like is really important to the patients that you care for.
That's right.
So that and just like the importance of it, the purpose behind it is very apparent.
Yeah.
It's very easy to see, like, people would just die if there weren't any nurses. People would die if there
That's
weren't
right.
doctors or EMS people, even if it's just
Yeah.
a quick ride to the hospital. So it's like there's purpose in that, and if I can wake up every day and feel like I have done something to help someone or to contribute in some way to society, and something that I genuinely enjoy, that's good. So
Yeah.
I think purpose is there for me somewhere. I just haven't figured out
Yeah.
what exactly it looks like.
Yeah, the specific,
Yeah.
specificity. I don't know if that's a word. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Specifically what it is, but generally it's definitely around medicine and helping people. And
Yeah,
and
I think so.
Help saving lives. Stuff
Yeah.
like that. But we need you, man. You mentioned if medical school, and if you get this degree, but I'm a big believer in if that's really what you want, to happen for your life. It's got it starts with the mindset and the mentality. So it's when you achieve these things, and when you go into medical school, and when you finally achieve those goals and become a provider.
Yeah.
Because I can see it, man. I can see that it's definitely a passion of yours. You wouldn't be doing this stuff right now if you weren't into it. Really, you could have been doing a lot of other things.
Yeah.
So I believe it, man, and I think you'd be great at it, dude.
Thank you, man.
From what I'm hearing.
Appreciate that.
What is your ideal retirement, right? Is there a specific age, or like what type of things you'll be doing? Like, ideally when it's all said and done, you're ready to stop, get out of the working force. How old are you? What are you doing with your time? How are you spending those golden years?
I don't know if there's like a certain. I have trouble like looking forward to like next week or whatever. So I don't
That's
know.
fair. And,
I don't know what retirement's gonna look like, but I think I would be. I'd want to work for a while. People talk about like making a whole bunch of money and retiring early. That sounds great, but I think I'd probably want to like work for a decent amount of time. And because if I were to find something that fulfills me, I'd want to keep that going, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I don't know. I want a family at some point. I'm not really close to getting that started, but a family that I can give myself to in my personal time, and leave behind some children who hopefully do something helpful and worthwhile and be good people. I don't know. Like I said, I like going to like concerts and stuff. I like traveling. I like experiences kind of a little bit more than material possessions and stuff. So I think I'd like to travel more and see the world and see, like, I want to live in a city at some point. I think New York is like really cool.
Nice.
But it's just
Like
crazy
Manhattan,
expensive.
like right in the city, or like
Or like, I don't know, Brooklyn.
okay,
My buddy
wow.
lives in Brooklyn, so I've seen a little bit of that and it seems cool.
Yeah.
But like that, or live in a city at some point, probably not lifelong because that's chaotic too. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Retirement, just start a family, do something that you enjoy, and then eventually, when I get out of that, probably travel and
Yeah.
spend more time with the family. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
That's that might be like a generic answer, but I guess that's what I got.
I know a lot of people that don't want anything to do with the family, so that's
Yeah.
that
Fair, yeah.
that that's I think we're losing that sense of a traditional American household,
Sure.
which it seems
Yeah.
like that you're interested in. So I think what used to be generic and like taboo of like, oh yeah, you want a family and just retire and travel, that concept I think is becoming a little more novel these days.
Yeah.
just with the way society is going and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, don't sleep on that, man. That's a dope response. Yeah, man. Well, again, I want to reiterate to you that this has been a fantastic interview, bro. You seem supernatural, man. Have a lot of great already in this shorter amount of time, a lot of great experiences and stories to share. I believe that somebody's going to watch this and be inspired to at least, look into a little more of what the life of, EMS is actually like, and maybe you've inspired somebody to, look into it and see if they might want to do it themselves.
Yeah, maybe.
I think you've been a great representation of your field and line of work. And I want to take this time to, let you send us off however you would like, whether it's promoting something that you're passionate about, or leaving any type of message, or just ending us off on however way you see fit.
Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate the interview and being able to
Yeah.
talk about my experiences and stuff. And shit, dude, I don't think I could do what you do. I mean, at least from that brief, call that we met on. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Everyone has their kind of different walk of life and stuff. Like you should swap roles. Someone should interview you about. I'm sure you got like a ton of
Yeah, I
stuff
don't
to
think.
say.
I guess we can touch on that a little bit on exactly how we met, just in case somebody's watching and they're
Yeah.
dying to know the whole time.
Sure.
We touched on it a little bit, but never really talked about it. For anybody that doesn't know, my day job, my normal 9 to 5 is I'm a residential counselor. I work at um, a, a campus, a youth campus, where the residentials that just kind of are in the system, or their parents have lost custody, or whatever the case may be, or they just are kind of at a bad spot or got dealt a bad hand in life. They'll stay at my facility and we'll kind of help oversee and help them with their meds or their daily living skills, teach them how to apply for jobs, get them going on time for school, get them back, just a day in the life and help be around for them and mentor and inspire and help them cope and get through their emotions or whatever the case may be. So that's what I do, a residential counselor. And one day we had a kid in crisis, and they were self-harming, so we had to get the police involved and the ambulance involved. And Jeremy was one of the ones that showed up that night. And did a great job at assisting with this particular patient. We got them calmed down and more at a baseline level. Got them in the ambulance. They had to get stitched up a little bit, so we got them to the hospital. And that's where we met, man. You had a good energy, you and your partner that day. And I'm constantly looking for solid community workers to have on and just get an inside look. So I'm not really shy. I ask all the time. People just whether it's a bus driver or this and that. Just, as I come across, I'm like, hey, would you be interested in doing a podcast?
Yeah.
I mentioned it to Jeremy and his partner, and they both were cool with it. And now here we are. Yeah. But I'm grateful for that night. It all worked out. It was kind of up in the air for a while. I didn't know how that.
Yeah, it was a weird,
I didn't know
weird
how
call, but I mean, you were the only one that she would kind of talk with. She was like, "Hey, man, if you're here, then then I'll like come down and cooperate a little bit." It's a tough situation that she's in, and people like that are in.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're someone that can be like trustworthy and get on their good side and be someone that can actually help them.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot of way that the system doesn't really work as it should,
Right.
But I mean, props to you. Like I don't think I could do that all day, but that's crazy important work, especially for kids like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. It's hard. You got these kids that are at a super heightened state all the time and just have no, the normal typical things that we've learned as, to develop into functional adults. They're missing a lot of that. And, so you got to, deal with coming in happy. You could be having the best morning, having a great day, and you're just happy and ready to come in and do your job. And as soon as you walk through the door, you're fat bitch, you know what I mean? Like, okay, it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? So like dealing with, little stuff like that and having to understand that it's not personal, these kids have their own journey and what they went through. Although maybe not, it's never necessarily acceptable, but you got to understand,
Yeah.
that you got to meet people where they're at, and definitely comes with its ups and downs, but definitely fulfilling. I love working with the youth. Definitely has a special spot in my heart, particularly older teens. But yeah, man, that's how. If anybody was curious, I know, like I said, we've touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, a little
That's
bit.
how me and Jeremy connected, and got here and then had this dope conversation, very enlightening and informative conversation. And with that said, man, I want to give you a solo round of applause. If Reese had hands and fingers, he'd be joining us